Welcome to this captivating video where we are going to share a revelation that is bound to astonish you. The Garden of Eden has been found in Asia. Yes, that is correct, Asia. It is not a mythical place after all, and you can travel there today. Watch the video to the end and you will know everything, as well as having a deeper understanding of ancient history. In this video, we are going to use the Bible verses from Genesis and an ancient treasure map, the Hereford Mappamundi, to decipher the clues that are left behind since all the scientists, archaeologists, and academics cannot do it. I am going to do it for you because, why not? So, do you want to know where the Garden of Eden is? Okay, I will tell you. It is not in Africa, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Mesopotamia, or in a cave as recently discovered. As I already said, it is in Asia. Hold on. Do you think I am wrong? This is where I prove it to you. Not only am I going to prove it is in Asia, we are going to eliminate all the countries I just mentioned. And we are going to find out what city in Asia the Garden of Eden is. Let's start with Genesis 2 verses 8 to 14. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. And the Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold, or the gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and onyx are also there. The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east side of Ashur. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Okay, so from that we can see there are 5 main clues. They are, to the east, the Pishon, the Gihon, the Tigris, and the Euphrates rivers. Now let's look at the ancient treasure map. What we are looking at is the Hereford Mappamundi. This map was made around the year 1290. It depicts the ancient world as they knew it. We are not going to talk about the creatures on the map and only focus on the landmarks. This map was saved from being destroyed by bombing in the 1930s and resides while being protected by the church, which means that it is an authentic map and cannot be disputed, even though many have tried. All we need to find the Garden of Eden is this map and the clues in the Bible. Alright, so what do you think? Do you think you could solve the mystery of the location of the Garden of Eden? By looking at this map, it is very clear the Garden of Eden is not in any of the countries the Western archaeologists say it is. They cannot even find the 4 rivers. They tell us all kinds of stories, and we are supposed to believe them because they have a certification. And then they disclaim any other theories and call it pseudo-archaeology. You can clearly see the Garden of Eden is in Asia. So why does archaeology not see it? Can you see it? It's very obvious when I label the countries. Are you amazed yet? Have I just opened your mind? We only started as I still have more proof. It is said that the garden is to the east. That was the first clue. But to the east of what? Jerusalem is known in the West as the center of the world. So Jerusalem is the starting point. Jerusalem is also the center of this map. When we put a line east through the map from Jerusalem to the Garden of Eden, it connects. The Garden of Eden lies to the east of Jerusalem, not in the northeast or southeast direction. East, as it says in the Bible. That is logical and explains the first clue in the Bible. East is referencing Asia. It's funny that too, as Asia is always known as the East no matter where you are in the world. Where are the 4 rivers? If the Garden of Eden is in Asia, are you still interested to know more? Give a thumbs up and help me by subscribing as I need 1,000 subscribers. Maybe I can do more for you. And I would like to share the location of the Tower of Babel for you. While on the topic, as we embark on the spiritual and religious quest to discover the Garden of Eden, may we pause for a moment of tranquility, offering 5 seconds of silence and a thought of peace. Where are the 4 rivers and what city is the Garden of Eden in? Let's continue with the next clue. I spent a lot of time analyzing many different maps from 500 BC to 1500 AD to understand the mindset of the ancients and to identify the rivers that are drawn on the ancient treasure map. This is the Euphrates and Tigris rivers on the map. This can be confirmed when we cross-check it with today's maps. It also says Tiger River in Latin on this map. The problem arises when you look at the map And see, the Garden of Eden is nowhere near those two rivers we just seen. It is on the other side of those mountains and still in Asia, east of Jerusalem. Stick around until the end, and I will show you something really amazing that is going to blow your mind that relates to this east line. Put your detective hats on and let's solve this. Okay, this river that goes around the Garden of Eden is really important as it is a land feature. And this is the Ganges River in India. You can tell by its distinctive pattern, and it says Ganges on the map. To save time, I added the rivers for you, and you can see actual locations when compared to the current map. It also gives an understanding of how they viewed the world until 1500 AD. Next, we're going to find the four rivers. To do that, we're going to use an earlier version of the map from 1265, the Psalter World map. This map makes it easier to locate the four rivers when we combine everything we have learned. Have a good look at this map. One thing I notice about the ancient map makers is they have an interesting way to make a directional map. I will come back to that later. Let's compare it to today's map. If we cross-reference it to the Psalter map 1265, we can see the Ganges River first to the left, and the Euphrates, the Tigris, the Gihon, and Pishon rivers flowing in their respective directions. Including the Ganges, we can count 5 rivers total. Let's compare it to the Hereford Mappamundi. What is obvious at first is the distinctive bend and its close proximity to the next rivers. We can see the Brahmaputra River connects to the Ganges River, making it only one river in ancient times when the rivers were a lot bigger. By putting the maps together, we can identify the rivers quite easily, and just found the 4 rivers identified in the Bible. As you just seen, we have uncovered the clues to find the location of the Garden of Eden. It is in China. Let us go back to the Bible. Genesis chapter 2 verse 8. The Lord God planted a garden in Eden. Let's repeat that last bit. Planted a garden where? In Eden. Now let's recap. We solved the mystery of the East, and we found the 4 rivers mentioned in the Bible. We found the continent and then found the country. Now we are in search of the city closest to the Garden of Eden. Where do you think it could be? The obvious clue is that the garden's location is next to a river. Problem is, most ancient cities are built next to rivers. How can we solve that? And to do that, we need to go back to the Hereford Mappamundi and look for clues. We are going to take a look at heaven, and in particular, the gates of heaven on the map. When I observe the gates of heaven, I notice something. Can you see it? I will give you time to find it. This may be a good time to insert this here. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and have been practicing for 15 years and have a reasonable understanding of Chinese philosophies and basic history, which when I was researching the Garden of Eden, it gave me a lot of help to decipher this mystery, because when I was following the rivers and the ancient pathways, looking at the landscapes and the names of the cities, I could understand it. I also think it's time for me to do something different. I have realized that life is short. When you look back on your life through all the years to this point in time today, all those years went by fast, even as we go through our daily lives. It may seem long, but when you look back on it and reflect, it is short. Let's continue. Did you find what I was referring to? The gates of heaven are a wall. Yes, you heard that correct. A wall, okay? If it's a wall, what wall existed at that time? You're correct. The Great Wall of China. All right, I will take a quick break to let you absorb that. Let's continue with looking at the map closer. This is the clearest I could zoom in. We will compare the map drawings to the actual Great Wall and look for similarities if it were the Great Wall of China. The most obvious similarities to stick out are the barrier walls, beacon, and watchtowers. You can clearly see the similarities when first comparing the map drawings to the Great Wall. It's obvious, as seen when comparing the map and the wall side by side. The similarities are strong. I don't need to say much here, as I'm not a certified historian and the history is very deep. So I'm not going to talk about the history, as I am certain the gaps can be filled easily, and only stick to what we have found with the Hereford Mappamundi and the Bible. And I haven't traveled to these locations to give a personalized view. As we can see when we connect the arrows from the map to the Great Wall gates, we can identify distinct similarities. The tall door and corridor, along with the arch of the door as well. It is also a single gate. and is not a square door. It is a door similar to the Mappa Mundi. Is proof enough that the drawings of the Mappa Mundi and the Great Wall of China gates match. We only need to find which gate it was. If we were in the wrong location, there would be no matches, and would be struggling to find any kind of answer. This courtyard was very special in the ancient times, as this is where people would be judged, and if they passed, they entered. If not, they were cast into the desert and never seen again. When we go back to the map and review the gates of heaven, I noticed something else, the way that the wall is shaded. Can you see it? It is shaded with a dirty look and is not pristine. That is a significant clue. For it to possibly be the Great Wall, it would need to have these two features minimum. It would need to be on the western side along the Silk Road, and it has to have existed at the time of Jesus being alive, as he is the person drawn on this map. Let's recap again. We had a map and a Bible from Hereford, England. Then on the map we started at Jerusalem, we traveled east which took us past Mesopotamia, over the Himalayas, and looked at India and Tibet to China, in search of the Garden of Eden. While doing that, we found the gates of heaven. Not the location, but we are close. Let's take that in. We can move on to the next two clues, and they are: the wall location has to be in the west in the area, circled as anywhere else on the map. We need to start over and rethink the whole theory. And it must have been already built at the time of Jesus, as he is on the map. The first place we will start is here, where the roads all meet and is circled on the map. Dunhuang. This is what I found doing a quick search. I will read it out. A large proportion of the Great Wall we see today was built during the Ming Dynasty 1368-1644. However, west of Yumengguan Pass in Dunhuang, Gansu Province lies a section dating from the Han Dynasty to BC, 220, more than 1,300 years earlier than the Ming sections. Did you get that? 220 BC, 200 years before the time of Christ, and it is in the west. Did we just hit 2 home runs with 1 ball? Let's hit another. Do you remember this clue? How I referred to the walls as being shaded with a dirty feature. What that meant was the walls were made with mud, dirt, and something similar, not with standard bricks. As we have seen in examples from the images shown, the bricks we've seen are normal bricks, except for one location. Instead of building with layers of stone or bricks like in other locations, this location was built by using the local sand and plants. These two construction materials were added by putting one on top of another, then rammed down in layers of sand, turning as tough as steel and the sand into concrete. And that location is Gansu Province. The same province Dunhuang is located in, the only province in China to use this method of rammed earth to build parts of the Great Wall. Archaeological findings have shown that Gansu Province has been inhabited since at least 5,000 to 8,000 years ago. Gansu Province is the northwest corridor of China, bordered by mountains and the Gobi Desert. It is a natural route known as the Hershey Corridor. We must be in the right location, as all the clues have led us to this province. Gansu. Are you satisfied with the results so far? I can stop right now and say here is the location of the garden, as is on the Hereford Mappa Mundi. As there are 2 cities in the area of Gansu that qualify to be the place that is drawn on the Hereford Mappa Mundi that stand out immediately. Before we get to those, there's another city that stands out as well, which we can use to answer the illustrations on the Mappa Mundi, especially in heaven, as just from the name of the city, it has to do with a place of learning or similar that transforms a barbarian into a saint. And it is the city of Wu Wei. But the Chinese characters are not the same and should be pronounced as Wei Wu City instead, not Wu Wei. While without the Chinese characters, any Westerner would read it as Wu Wei. It's almost a paradox, just like the Dao De Jing. Because why is it located there? It could be anywhere else in China. Why is it located there? For that reason, we are going to utilize only the common English understanding, because it is named Wu Wei, not Wei Wu. And that is a Dao sign. Let's go back to the Mappa Mundi. And let's take a look at heaven again. This time, we are looking at what's going on outside the gates. We can see on the left side angels leading the bishop, followed by the king and others through the gates of heaven. And here you have two people coming out from a coffin. They symbolize in Christian belief of being reborn again. While on the right side, we have people being taken by rope to another door. Religious scholars say it is the door that leads to hell. What are we looking for here? The master appears when the student is ready. Why did I say that? I don't know, it just came into my mind. We have been told by religious scholars that these images of the coffin and the rising from the coffin are of people's resurrection or reincarnation. The problem again we are faced with is, in the Christian or Islamic faith, we go to heaven or hell and don't believe in reincarnation, and that creates an argument. So instead, I am going to look at this drawing from an Eastern philosophical view to explain the representation of these illustrations. Because we are in China after all. When we go back to the current world map and look at Gansu, the city that stands out in relation to heaven is Wu Wei. To understand these illustrations and the representation of heaven, we need to look at Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucius teachings. Even though they had different teachings and are named separately, the core is the same, and I am going to cut through all the jargon and stick to the point. Forgive me if I say it incorrectly. Even though one may be a barbarian, killer, thief, prostitute, liar, or whatever bad vices one has, if one repents and embraces the conduct of heaven, one can enter the gates of heaven. It is that simple, yet challenging at the same time, as all one has to do is fully and sincerely want to repent. Based on what I just said, we can understand that the people rising from the coffin is an example of that, reinventing oneself to become a better person in the world, to enter the gates of heaven. The reason the angel is leading the bishop, first through the gates of heaven, is that in Eastern history, it was always believed that a virtuous and stable emperor was needed in government, for the harmony and peace of the country, which brings eternal joy to the nation. A good advisor or bishop was always able to give good advice. Then, the country would be in harmony. If all I mentioned was accurate in regards to Wu Wei, one person has to have stayed in the Gansu area 500 years before Jesus visited and possibly helped in the design of the early Great Wall, as he was the most educated person in China, the author of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu. While doing some research, I found out Lao Tzu had stayed in the Gansu province. There is evidence and stories confirming he stayed there until late life and transformed many barbarians through his teachings, which is the meaning of the illustrations on the Mappa Mundi. To reinvent oneself to be reborn and enter the gates of heaven in this life, not the next one, this one, right now. Why I shared this is because it was on the map and completely relevant. Let's look at Wu Wei City. Please note, I am only following where the map leads me. My ability to explain it is a coincidence. Now, when I looked at the Great Wall in Wu Wei, at first glance it looked like a mess, but staring at it more, I noticed something in the whole layout of the wall, which confused me at first. When I realized the layout, I could see why it was made that way. Taking everything I just said about transforming barbarians, and look at Wu Wei compared to the surrounding areas. Wu Wei was one of the first places to have the wall built in Gansu. The first thing you see is a gate into the city with walls around the city. It is almost like a prison ground layout. Except, in this prison, you are allowed to escape and sneak off into the wilderness. They could escape through this gap in the wall. The problem they are faced with is they are now in the desert and have over 100 kilometers to get around the wall, then walk back 100 kilometers to be met with another wall, forcing them to travel further into the desert with no food, no water, which means almost certain death to anyone who tried to escape this way. Knowing a person can only survive 7 days without water, but in the intense heat of the desert, far less survival chance. And in that way, the government is not responsible for the death of the person as they left in their own free choice. This is one way to get rid of the bad ones, as the good ones would stay behind, allowing that person to make the choice themselves, taking all accountability away from the government. That is the meaning of Wu Wei here, non-doing or doing nothing. Only the great sage Lao Tzu could have come up with that idea. It's genius and profound at the same time, and it protects the Garden and Eden. We got the very basic idea of the area. Let's move on to the Garden of Eden now. We are about to discover what city the Garden of Eden is in. Let's go back to the Mappa Mundi. When we look at the Garden of Eden, we can see heaven is drawn north of the Garden of Eden, has water flowing around it, and a wall surrounding the garden, with fire on the outside. We learn the illustrations of heaven are of the Gansu province where Dunhuang to Wuwei is situated. This gives a reference in the direction we must travel, and that direction is southward. A total of 3 cities remain on this epic journey. Let us start with the first city, where it is well known for its rare and sought-after lilies and flowers, Lungzhou. After reviewing hours of researching the city, there wasn't much going on here in relation to the Mappa Mundi. Apart from this symbol, when I translate it into a sentence, it reads already done the garden, preserving the small harvest. It is possible that Lungzhou may be the Garden of Eden drawn on the map, as it is next to the Yellow River, which is known as a Mother River of China, or the Eastern Cradle of Life, also the birthplace of Eastern civilization. But I'm not convinced it is here, as no wall and fire are encapsulating Lungzhou. So we will move on, and we are in search of the Garden of Eden. So let's move to the next city south, Xi'an, formerly known as Chang'an. We are here at the last stop on the map. What we are going to do here is use a tourist map to navigate the city. The first immediate thing I notice is the moat surrounding the city. The second feature is the walled fortress around the city. What can explain the ring of fire that is drawn on the map? Let's explore. I can see there are 4 gates placed in the 4 cardinal positions, north, east, south, and west. In the middle of each wall, each direction has a Chinese blessing to go with the direction. The 4 gates are respectively named Eternal Joy in the east, Eternal Peace in the south, Forever Harmony in the north, Harmony Peace in the west. I noticed 3 of the 4 directions have an eternal blessing named to it, apart from the west, where when you leave 2 gates, you are blessed with harmony and peace. It's like saying all the best and good luck. In the middle here is the bell tower. Here's some history about Xi'an. Xi'an is one of China's oldest cities, with a history of over 3,000 years. The Emperor China is named after is buried there, along with the terracotta soldiers, which are inside of China's pyramid called the Mausoleum, and is still filled with ancient treasures of Qin dynasties. There are also many other emperor tombs there. They are known as the Western Sheer Tomb. All this information is really helpful. As we have arrived at the Garden of Eden, let us absorb that. Now, I am going to explain the Ring of Fire. To do that, we are going to go back to the wall to look at its defensive structure along the battlement walls. As we can see, there are many of these holes along the Great Wall called crenels and shooting holes, where they can roll stones filled with gunpowder toward the invaders. They would also use logs set on fire and pour large pots of hot oil through the gaps onto invaders and debris burning on the ground, where it heat up to a point and instantly set a blazing fire that could last days, resulting in a ring of fire long enough for reinforcements to arrive, making it an impenetrable fortress. And that is the Ring of Fire explained on the Mappa Mundi. In this location, we solve the water around Eden, and Eden is encased in a wall with a ring of fire. We answered all the questions. 4 rivers are also flowing through the city of Shan, and 2 rivers can connect to the Yellow River, east or west, where you can travel to Lungzhou via river routes, onto Wuwei, out west, and to the east. I will stop here now on the Garden of Eden, as we have found it. But there is one more city left, as I said, 3 cities, not 2. And for this, we need to go all the way back to Jerusalem. Because did you remember that east line? We never connected it. Before we do that, I want everyone to know it was ancient Mayan warrior that found the Garden of Eden. As you have seen, I found it for you, for everyone. So now you know. And all I ask is that you share it with one person who will watch it. And respect the people of China and their rules when you visit there. Stay in the small villages, don't get lost in the desert, enjoy a bowl of noodles from Lungzhou. Visit the many sites Gansu has to offer, and most importantly, be safe and plan your whole visit. Help me to my first goal of 1,000 subscribers, and please subscribe. This line. As we mentioned earlier, Jerusalem in the west is known as the center of the world. Did you know? In the east, they have a city they call the center of the world too. And that city in China is called Chengdu. I am going to make a line from Jerusalem, east towards Chengdu. When I do that, can you see? The two cities connect and are in perfect alignment. When I measure the distance from Solomon's pools in Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and connect it to the middle of Chengdu, it measures exactly 4,000 miles. My next video is the location of the Tower of Babel. Subscribe to stay updated and hit the thumbs up. Comment below, and thanks for watching.